What's going on, guys? It's Elias. Welcome back to another video. This is a video that's going to be specifically talking about the power modifications that I did to my Type R race build. Now, these are the modifications that I actually suggest you guys make to your Type Rs if you're considering making more power. Now, you'll have to excuse me if it's very loud in here. I've taken out all the sound deadening in this car, and it's basically a straight pipe from the engine all the way to the back, so it's a little bit loud, just a little bit. Anyway, so let's go ahead and start with my philosophy of adding power to this car. So let's remember that this car is front-wheel drive, and front-wheel drive is not that conducive to immense power. Now, I know there's drag racers that have, 800 horsepower, K20 builds, K24 builds, and more power to them. However, we all know it's either all-wheel drive or rear-wheel drive that wins races, especially when it comes to drag racing. That's because when you're talking about physics, front-wheel drive is not the best way to go for all-out speed. So with that in mind, I thought, well, I want to keep this car competitive. So I can go ahead. I could have gone ahead, take the engine out, put pistons in it, went and go monster mode, right? Add meth injection, add all kinds of crazy things, methanol, ethanol, and it can pretty easily. I've seen Civic Type Rs, build Civic Type Rs with over 500 horsepower, sometimes 600 horsepower. The reason my philosophy didn't take me there is because I wanted something that, first of all, is stone dead reliable, and reliable hammering into the track for 3 to 4 hours per day on track time. That kind of abuse can take a huge toll on the fueling system, the cooling system, the transmission, and the axles, everything else around the vehicle. If all you're going to do is drive it around daily, and every once in a while take it to the drag strip, 500 horsepower shouldn't be a problem. But 500 horsepower in this thing will require beefier axles, beefier mounts, beefier pretty much everything, and definitely a transmission rebuild, because in and out, going in and out, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, you shift a lot on track, and when you have that much power, it's that much more tolling on the transmission. So with that said, two main things I wanted to do. I wanted to raise power, and I wanted to lower temperatures. Temperatures in this car are way too high in the engine bay. Unless it's a cold day, like it is today, we call this turbo weather. Unless it's a cold day, it gets very, very hot in the engine bay. And we all know, every single Type R owner knows, the internet knows, that the Type R suffers from heating issues. Now, to overheat one, it takes quite a bit of effort to overheat one at the track, even in a really hot day. You gotta have, you gotta be a really good track driver in order to beat on it enough for it to actually overheat, to give you an error code. Because what it actually does is it pulls timing. It pulls timing and reduces your power so that, you have less turbo boost, you have more fuel going in, and you have, lower temperatures as much as the computer can allow. So because of all those things, after one lap or two laps or so on a hot day, I used to notice that the power level in this car just went down the drain. It felt like it had 250 horsepower. And once you get used to the amount of power, 300 plus horsepower that this car can give you, you don't want 250 horsepower on a track. So let's go through a list of the modifications that I went through to get this car race ready. Alright, now that you guys can hear me, because this car is way too loud, most likely, for you guys to hear me, let's go through the list. So, I'm going to go through this list that I've gone through before. If you guys have watched it, I'm going to go through a quick little synopsis of why I got what I got and when I got it, etc. And again, if you guys have been following along, you guys will probably know what I did to the engine. If you haven't, you can go back and watch me install these on my car myself. I do all the work myself. So if you haven't yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think if I should go a 500 horsepower Civic Type R. I am still considering it, depending on whether or not I can get the heat under control. So to begin with, I got an intercooler, downpipe, and a radiator. Those three things right there are the bare minimum to getting this car making more horsepower reliably without losing horsepower as the car heats up. The intercooler, you only get the intercooler if you're going to raise the horsepower of the car. If you're going to keep the power of the car relatively stock, don't bother with an intercooler. It's actually going to make your car hotter. It blocks some of the airflow to the radiator. Now, if you're going to make bigger power, you want a bigger intercooler. Bigger intercooler allows you to make more boost, make more power, and it cools down the charged air and makes it so that it's much cooler as it gets into the engine, giving you more power. So that's the intercooler. The radiator is a bigger radiator. I have a Koyo Rad. There's actually a slightly better one out there. I forget the brand. I'll put it down in the description below. Everything I'm talking to you guys about is in the description below, guys. So make sure you look down below at everything that I got and everything that I suggest. But I got the Koyo Rad. At the bare minimum, you get a Koyo Rad. There's a slightly bigger and better one, but Koyo Rad honestly has done really well for me. I've done 4 days on track with this car, and I gotta tell you, this thing has been amazing. On top of that, and I think, and unfortunately, this is basically a requirement, the downpipe, because the catalytic converter in this car is right in between the engine block and the radiator. And as we all know, catalytic converters get very, very hot. So you remove the catalytic converter, you put a straight pipe downpipe right out the exhaust, and while your bumper is gonna get black from all the extra soot, you're gonna make a lot more power and you're gonna get a lot less heat coming from the engine. Finally, strictly on power mods here, I got a KTUNER. Now, I've had my KTUNER for quite a long time, and there's always a question, KTUNER versus Honda. And honestly, it's your preference. I knew that I wasn't going to use Honda's traction control system. They have a pretty nice traction control system. I also knew that, you know, I'm not really going to do ethanol in this car. I may in the future do ethanol in this car. I'm not sure yet. We'll see. And if I do, I'll go Honda. But for now, since I already had the KTUNER, I went ahead and uploaded KTUNER's specific PRL tune. So this is a hot tune based on having a PRL downpipe, a PRL intercooler, and I believe the PRL intake. Now, I don't have the PRL intake. I have something that's, I would say, almost the equivalent, and that's a K&N drop-in filter. We'll go over that in a future video. I don't think I'm making any extra power on there, that's why I haven't really mentioned it, but it makes cool noises. So with all of that combined, I'm making a roughly, you know, and this is the map that I got from KTUNER, 380 horsepower to 400 horsepower at the crank, right? So according to KTUNER, it's around 380 at the wheels. I like to be a little bit conservative when it comes to those metrics. So I'm gonna say 400 at the crank, maybe 370 at the wheels. This thing just pulls out of corners like it's a bat out of hell, right? It just goes, and that's part of the reason why I love the KTUNER tunes. I love the way it just kind of explodes the power as you go. I mean, I don't even have to shift that often anymore. I could be down at 3,500 RPMs, 4,000 RPMs, hit the gas, and all that power just comes rushing through. So in the past, so I have an S2000. If you go below VTEC zone, you're screwed. There's no power down there. It's very similar to older Honda engines where, you know, below VTEC, absolutely no power. This car, because it's a turbo and it's tuned the way it is for KTUNER, it's got a wallop of torque down low and a giant amount of horsepower up top. So what I'm trying to say is extremely potent K20 engine. And as we all know, I think the K20 is probably the best 4-cylinder engine ever made. I don't think that's disputable. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. If there's a better 4-cylinder engine, you let me know. I am working on a video categorizing the K20 as the best engine ever made, or 4-cylinder engine ever made. So finally, with those power modifications, like I said, this car has been really good, and the cooling modifications allowed me to run lap after lap after lap, you know, about 2 minutes, 20-second long laps, you know, 3 at a time, 4 at a time, 6 at a time, without any issues. I have felt no heat soak. I felt no problems. The car never got too hot. I looked at my metrics. We're using my KTUNER. never got too hot. It never even got close to being too hot. It was amazing. Now I am going to be testing this in the hot summer, and we'll see if I'm going to need extra modifications. I'm still holding off on putting hood vents in my car, only because I just kind of ran out of time. I'll probably do it no matter what, but I kind of wanted to wait to see, you know, maybe I have enough modifications done. I don't need hood vents. So again, we'll take a look. We'll see how it goes. But I think in terms of power, I am pretty set for now. I am in the future thinking maybe doing an ethanol tune, or possibly doing meth injection, or possibly, I don't know, bigger turbo, right? So if I'm doing, if I'm gonna do ethanol and meth injection, I'm gonna just go ahead and drop in a bigger turbo while we're at it. You know, can't hurt. So that might happen in the future. We don't know how long I'll take to do that, but for now I'm going to enjoy the car as it is. It took a long time for me to get this car back up and where it is. Remember, I did crash this car into a wall. So, all right, that pretty much wraps up this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know if you liked the video by hitting that like button. Let me know in the comments if you find these type of videos valuable to you. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.